On June 19, 1935, less than 1 year after Alcatraz became a U.S. federal penitentiary, the Office of the Warden issued an urgent notice.
He said, the fact has been brought to the attention of the warden that there are quite a number of cats on the island. And it seems to be the practice of the owners of said cats to let them run loose. And in their wanderings around the island, they have succeeded in making a nuisance of themselves by midnight serenades, garbage can raids, and so on. This notice is being posted to remind all owners that they are to keep their cats inside of their own residence or teach them to swim, as all cats caught running loose will be gotten rid of in some manner, shape, or form, by order of the warden. Now, because of this, some person on the island drew this, and it reflects the order. Alcatraz is 2 miles in the other direction, and you can see the bridge is only partially built because this was 1935. Now, when I lived there, there were no cats, there were no animals. There was only a single dog that the warden had. Chuck Stucker, 1940 to 1953.
For Chuck Stucker, Alcatraz was home. Not only did he grow up on the island, but his lifelong connection to the rock is unlike any other.
To my knowledge, I'm the only one that had an uncle working there and a cousin working there and my father working there, and they overlapped in time frames. My cousin, he courted and then married the associate warden's daughter, and that associate warden came back as the third warden, so that made the connection even tighter.
That connection motivated Chuck to set out on a decades-long journey to document the unique neighborhood he used to call home.
And so I made it a task over the next 20 years or so to gather as much information as I could from other people that had lived and worked on the island. You know, things like photographs and shoeboxes and this and that were disappearing rapidly. So I made copies of everything I could find traveling through the western states, and suddenly I became sort of a historian.
But not just any historian. Chuck is also an archivist, a speaker, a tour guide, and a collector, amassing thousands of items that form a remarkable library of Alcatraz history unlike any other, including one-of-a-kind photos, historic and rare objects, never-before-seen film footage, and dozens of interviews with inmates, guards, officers, families, and residents, many of whom had never shared their stories.
We're up here in the hospital area where Rocky Chandler had a most unique experience. Yes. When he was approximately 10 years old.
So my father said, "Al, this is my boy Rolo," which was his nickname for me. And Rolo, this is Al, and Capone. And I shook his hand. And to this day, I can feel the warmth of his hand. It was that important to me. I was meeting celebrity, the most important guy in the world.
Alcatraz Island, it's in the bay, not far away. You're welcome to come with me.
Edith Lynch. What years were you here?
1920 to 1929. My parents would go across the bay to the nightlife over there. The Bal Tabarin was their favorite place to go. And so I had a trustee, Wahoo, babysit me. He was one of the prisoners.
I came here to visit my old home here in Alcatraz. I'm from Kansas City, Kansas. My name is Willie Radke. I came here in 1945 and left in 1952. I've spent 7 years here. I was in here with the original crew out of the Machine Gun County, basically Al Vanguard, Harvey Bailey, and the whole New York gang.
The public didn't know Willie from anything, and once they found out his number, though, 666, that created interest, but Willie was a special case.
So what was this right here, Willie?
This is my cell. This is my domicile. They repainted these walls since I left here. When I was here, I only had one shelf. We had one water. I see they got two in here. We had one water, cold. How you want your water, cold?
Are you recording what I'm saying?
One of the crown jewels of Stucker's collection is the only on-camera interview with Cliff Fish, an officer who served on Alcatraz for 24 years. Fish never talked about his job except for this oral history conducted just before his death when he reflected in great detail about the rock, including his perspective on the 1962 escape, when he went in search of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers who hit the waters on a raft boat made of raincoats.
Cliff Fish's take on his video is so interesting. They found a raft just south of San Quentin, I believe it was, and they took the raft back to Alcatraz.
We took the boat back and we tied it up. They had a big long telephone pole that stuck out for, in a big storm, they would tie the boat over there where it would be completely away from the dock, you know, it wouldn't get injured. And we tied that boat up to that place. When I went home that night, the boat was still there tied up. Went back the next morning, the boat was gone. I've never seen nor heard of that boat since.
His stories are fascinating. It's fortunate that we captured his views, and they just add to some knowledge of what was going on.
Well, hi, I'm Chris Lango, and it's truly an honor for me to undertake this project to produce a documentary about the rock that everybody knows, but very few people know really well. It's also a great opportunity for me to be able to work with such a fascinating and interesting man like Chuck Stucker, whose perspective on Alcatraz is truly one of a kind. Our goal here is to show off Alcatraz fully in a way that tells the entire story of the island, not just the popularized version of the rock. What was it like to live there, to work there, even play there? We'll start in the 1800s, when Alcatraz was home to the very first lighthouse on the West Coast, and take you all the way through the present day. We intend to tell a story of Alcatraz that might just change the way you view perhaps the most famous and infamous rock in the world. So why are we here? Well, simply put, for this project to be completed, there is much more research that needs to be conducted and lots of shooting and editing still to do. We already have 25 hours of footage shot, and that footage needs to be processed, logged, and transcribed. In addition, we have hundreds of photos to digitize, more film and video to acquire, and additional people to interview, so that we can round out our story and create a reflection of the rock that looks like no other.
Now, as time has went by, it's become evident that the stories that I tell and the information that I have learned about Alcatraz is gradually being lost. So over the last 20 years or so, I've collected stories and photographs and information so that it won't be lost. But the only way to really protect it is to have films like this made and hopefully seen by many, many people. But it takes a lot of money to do that. Maybe, just maybe, we can get a film out to the world to see what Alcatraz was really like. And I sure hope it happens, because if it doesn't, this information is going to be lost, and I don't know what will happen to it. So hopefully you have some extra money that you can donate to this project to help save the Alcatraz history that I've been able to put together and actually provide you some enjoyment as well. Thank you.